Welcome back to Discussions with the Writer Fred. And I say back because I apologize. I've been absent for a little while because I got really deep into my writing, my new screen script on the Tulsa Riot in 1921 that we hopefully are going to be making into a movie soon, and my new book that just came out called Baird and Martin, A Friendship in the Civil Rights Movement. So I kind of got inundated with that, but I'm back, and I'm back with vigor and fight.
Right.
Because things are happening out here that we have to address. And one of those terrible things that all of a sudden a lot of people are discovering is this white nationalism that surfaced and I think it really started with the church in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes,
when
sir.
that white punk walked in there and shot those people, and it's been growing. So I thought a good way for me to get back in to the discussion with Writer Fred was to have that as our first discussion and invite two knowledgeable folks on this subject in to be my guests. They've been here before, and I have Dr. Sharon Michael Shadwell, who's an educator here, and I have Brother Greg Muhammad,
Yes,
the
sir.
Nation of Islam here.
Yes, sir. Glad to
So I'm not gonna mess around. Let's get right to it.
Okay.
Is this a new phenomena? This white nationalism? Is this something that's new?
No, it's not new at all. I think when we look at this, what's happening now, Brother Fred, if we take racist and look at the word, and then I'm going to use two words to be short. If a person becomes a biologist, he or she reaches that level at the summit to be the best in their field. Mm-hmm. If you take a pianist, he or she becomes the best musically in their field. So when we look at racists, there has to be a format of a taught behavior to succeed beyond my and your perception of what race is. Mm-hmm. And for coming from the human side of this aspect, that you and I, or Sharon, probably have never heard our parents ever say that you were better than Billy because he was white next door.
Absolutely.
Or Felipe or Lupe that live next door,
You're right.
or Maria.
Yeah, you're right.
So therefore, that is a taught behavior. And now at the highest level of the country, you have a 46 that's actually, 45, that's actually spearheading this movement and is really like giving them the fuel to fire.
Please don't give him another year.
No.
Another term.
I apologize.
Yeah, so he's like he's giving them the incentive
Yes.
To do this.
Yes.
Okay. Sharon, what do you think?
What we're seeing right now really has been going on for a long time. I think what has spearheaded it even more so is social media, where now we're able to see in an instant what's going on. Of course, we had what went on in Charlotte and everything, but this has been going on for a long time. And again, social media has allowed people to post things, has gone to be able to research aspects of the history and really bring it forward as to what really has been going on all along. So the shock out there is because what we're seeing on social media and personal experiences as well.
Mm-hmm. What do you think that this is? It's not a unique thing. I mean, it's not just in the United States.
No,
it's all over. But it seems to emanate from Europe. When you think about it for a second, America claimed after Hitler that we're not like that.
Right.
We're not like that. And I believe that was some of the reason why whites got behind the civil rights movement. Because as the killings continued in this country, they said, well, maybe we are like that.
Right.
And what was Hitler's philosophy built on? Racial superiority.
Right.
And we got to realize that all these folks came from Europe.
Yes.
They came from Europe.
Yes, sir.
So how do we go after this? What do we do?
One of the things I read, I did take time out to read the manifesto of that young man who shot those people in El Paso.
El Paso?
And so I had to set aside my personal bias to really go into what he was saying. And a lot of it in there was a fear of
on his part,
of his of what he's seeing overall as a group, a fear of the environment changing, a fear of not having jobs because of immigrants coming over. And so a fear of their birth rate dropping. And so what we're seeing nowadays is, if you look at it, the people who are really acting out more and more are young white men or males in their 20s, possibly 30s, but they're young white males who are really fighting hard for their survival, even more so. But again, their actions are no different from those that we weren't aware of because of social media. Maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago. We're just seeing it now in your face.
So is social media giving them a means of uniting? They
Yes.
can talk to each other
Yes.
on the social media?
Yes.
Yes.
So how do we deal with that?
Well, that's a point where I think it's going to have to go deep into the home. And I think the more we talk about this at that level, fear of them being not in existence 25 to 40 years from now. Well, that's not necessarily our problem to a degree, because he is a regressive person biologically.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we say that,
Explain
Brother Fred,
that.
this is explain where we, as a black man, I can go marry a white woman. Now the child that we have becomes a black child dominantly, because there's two germs that lie in black men and women called the black and brown germ. So when we go and get with the Hispanic sister, they baby can look dark as me or light as them. Mm-hmm. But when we go get white man and put him with black woman, you got the same thing on the opposite end. The baby becomes what? Black. The same thing with Hispanic, whether you go get the Chinese, because it's a regressive format. Mm-hmm. So by hearing 45 out here with the rhetoric, I don't think that anybody at this table will go out and work in a chicken factory. Not today, when we have went to a level in education that you would regress back. But those who do not have an educational format to do better for themselves, yes, sometimes you do have to do something that you don't want to do to survive. Right. But I think the picture that 45 is painting, that number one, the gentleman that drove all the way from Dallas, if he's 21, 22 years old, he hasn't even started life yet.
That's right, yeah.
Follow me? Mm-hmm. So to drive 9 miles from Dallas to El Paso,
Make a statement.
and make a statement, that means that no, it was nothing mentally wrong with this guy. That was pure hate of another human being, and he went to execute somebody that did not look like him.
And I'm glad you bring up the issue of mental, because they want to say these folks are mentally ill.
No.
And I don't think that they're necessarily mentally
Based
ill.
on what I read in that manifesto, I saw somebody who was intelligent.
Yes.
And he even really mapped out why he was doing what he was doing, down to the type of weaponry that was going to be used and why he was using that type of weaponry. And he was able to loop it back to these particular people, as to why he was going after those people. So again, going back to your initial question, again, no, what we're seeing really is what, as African Americans or Black Americans, we have experienced for a long time, but now other people are beginning to experience a little of the uncomfort as well.
Right.
Right, and that would be, in this case, the Hispanics.
The gay community, they experience it down in Florida.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit more people are beginning to experience what we have been experiencing for years.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So how do we deal with this, I guess? I don't... My wife drives to the store, and the way things are going, I have to worry about her being able to drive to the grocery store or go in the grocery store, or Walmart. She went in Walmart the other day, and our son said, "You're not afraid to go in Walmart?"
Right.
She said, "I wasn't until I see these two white men were arguing."
Right.
So is that any way for us to live, and what do we do about it? Would you say the first thing we do is get rid of Trump?
I wish it was that easy, Professor. But I think that what we're going to have to do is be a little bit more observant when we go into places. I think we need to go in. It's pitiful that you have to go into a store, get
Really
what
is.
you need, and get out quick as possible.
Know what you're going in there for.
Know what you're going in there for, get it, and get out. When you're walking back to your car, you need to know where your car is and be vigilant of looking around. These are things that we probably have taken for granted.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
now, because of what's going on, I don't think you're safe even if you're outside watering your own lawn, to be honest with you. That's the time that we're living in. You're going to have to look over your shoulder. You're going to have to look around you. It's pitiful that even if you had your granddaughter or grandson going in the store with you, you're more afraid of something that's going to happen to them
Yeah.
than yourself in one sense.
Right.
But you have to be observant in this day and time. That's just the time we're living in.
Yeah,
You know, I should be able to go out and run or swim or whatever I want to do with ease. But
Yes.
now I have to be aware. I don't run with headphones on.
Oh, that's good.
And because I need to any type of be aware of sounds
Yes.
or anything. I remember I was out somewhere running, and I heard a sound, and I looked. And I kept moving. It was a deer.
Oh,
But still, you have to be absolutely engaged with the environment for your own safety.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I text my daughter who's back in the Washington D.C. area. I got a little granddaughter who's
Yes, sir.
now, I think, a year and a half.
Oh.
And I said, "Stay out of malls with
Right.
my granddaughter."
yes, sir.
And it's a shame that you have to
Yes,
say
sir.
that, but you have to be serious about it.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I can't imagine those parents where their kids go to school, or even in El Paso, they're going to Walmart, and they get a call, your child's been killed.
Yes, sir.
What creates that kind of mentality? I mean, is there that? I guess there is that much hatred.
Oh, yes, sir.
Well, you know, when you go to getting a particular license, and I was in this class, and a lot of the discussion was on backpack safety gear, you know.
Yeah, they're selling a lot of
I
that.
said, what? and that was 4 years ago.
Right.
I said, what? What are you guys talking about? But you know, there's a whole new market for
Yes.
things that we would have never thought. You know, bulletproof hoodies.
Yes.
And you know, which is really interesting is because Trayvon was wearing a hoodie when he got shot, but now we've got bulletproof hoodies because of all this unnecessary. I mean, the hatred was always there, but now Pandora's box has been kicked all the way open
Yeah.
to where now, again, those people who did not experience it like black folks, now they're starting to experience it to where you got a whole nation up, in turmoil for their own safety.
Yeah. And the Senate, I mean, what's wrong with these people? They won't take up gun control.
No.
How many people have to die before McConnell or those folks will do? He said he'll take it up when he gets back.
Yeah.
He's not going to take it up.
No.
NRA has got, they're putting money in those guys' pockets. So until they get, either, just leave, they're not going to do anything.
Yeah. I was talking to my wife last night about the Black Panther Party and during the time that Reagan was either the governor or
Of California?
California. He partnered with the NRA against the Panthers
Yeah.
I remember that.
of carrying weapons, and the NRA was right there with him to sign the bill.
Bill, yeah.
So it depends on what side of the fence you're on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and the Panthers was carrying guns with no bullets in them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what was the threat? Since we have seen all that's going on now, whether it was out in California, you have a fair. Here you are, got your granddaughter, children that are underage, you walking around trying to have a good time, and here's a guy that can kill 9 or 10 more people. And I seen on the news where a gentleman was eating with his daughter. Man, people running by him left and right, and he's still standing there eating until he realized somebody got shot. And he threw his food down.
He got out of there. Yeah.
But that's the time we're living in. We got to be very careful.
But we shouldn't have to live like that.
No, by no means.
But on the other hand, we as black folks, have always
Yes.
had to live like that
Yes, sir.
because of the threat. I mean, I think between the years 1865 and 1960, 4,000 blacks were lynched.
Yes, sir.
And that was the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So when we come back, what I want to do now is change a little.
Okay.
And I think the number is 7 little black kids were killed in St. Louis.
Oh, yes.
And I want to talk about that.
Yes, sir.
So when we come back, we're going to take up that topic. Here are discussions with the writer Fred. As you can see, I am back.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
40% of food in America is never eaten.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Do you want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star Uncle Drew?
Don't do him like that, Uncle Drew!
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Don't be slamming my door.
Sorry about that.
You just did the same.
Gotta get the boys.
Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Observe a domesticated human family in their natural habitat, known to their species as the backyard.
Hey, you think I should light it now?
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Oh dear, someone is about to burn a pile of debris that's too tall, which can start a wildfire. Wait, could it be? Blimey, it is.
It's Smokey.
It's Smokey Bear. What a legend.
Hey, it's Smokey. Sorry, it was too high. Right.
Watch as he astutely ensures that there's no wind, and how he removes some of the debris to create a smaller, safer burning pile.
You said make it bigger, baby. The bigger the better.
Take note of our fearless furry friend here, humans.
I appreciate it. Fist bump.
Watching you.
Smokey's done it again.
Bye, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hello, I'm Tony Hendricks, Chief Operating Officer at Lewis Funeral Home. Lewis Funeral Home has been serving San Antonio and surrounding areas for over 100 years. Lewis Funeral Home's ultimate goal is to help those families in their time of need. If your family is ever in need, please feel free to call us at Lewis Funeral Home, 210-227-7281, or check us out on our website at lewisfuneralhome.com.
Nothing to do this week? Don't miss another event. Go to blacksinsanantonio.com for our event calendar. The home of the largest business directory in San Antonio with an African American focus. Sign up today for our weekly e-blast and text message alerts. Help us make this a better community. Connect, empower, grow.
To the vigorous, full of energy, ready to discuss everything, discussions with the writer Fred. So I want to kind of change up just a little here. And in St. Louis, I think 4 or 5 young kids were shot and killed. And then you know what's happening in Chicago.
Yes.
And I imagine some here in San Antonio not nearly as bad in St. Louis. When a white policeman shoots and kills someone black, they're all out there with their signs, Black Lives Matter. You got black guys killing black kids. Why aren't they doing that in St. Louis? Black Lives Matter. These are kids, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think a lot of times what happens in our community, there's an old saying, there's a no snitch rule or whatever the case may be. But I'm for one that if you do anything that is against the law, Brother Fred, I'm sorry. I got to turn you in. And the reason for that is, once again, I think we all got to stand up for something that we believe in. I think also that most guns that come into our community, man, they have to come. We're not a manufacturer of any weapons. Right. We don't manufacture any boats to get them here. Right. We definitely don't manufacture any planes to get them here. And I think there is an unseen hand how guns are brought into our community at the rate that they do.
Okay, but I hear that.
Yes.
But they're going to go where the demand is.
Yes.
And evidently the demand is in our community. And I guess my question, why?
Well, I think looking at the why factor is drugs are being infiltrated into our community the same way. And I think saying this on record or off record, there has to be an element that's able to bring in drugs because there's no jobs in the community. If there was jobs in our community, then there wouldn't be no drugs and no guns in our community. I think that...
Do you really believe that?
Yes.
Sincerely?
Sincerely. And the reason I believe that is I do a little work on the side of town that I grew up in. We've been open less than 6 months, and the kids in that community have taken second place in robotics in the state of Texas, and they had not practiced or worked together, 22 kids. So if you give a child an opportunity, they're just like diamonds in the rough. You never know which one is going to rise to the top. Same thing with the drug scene. If you put jobs in the community, drugs got to go out the community. There has to be a lower level of crime, because I'm quite sure in the neighborhood that you live in, there's minimum crime, because they're well-established folks that work in the community. If you done got to a level that you can retire and reap the benefit of your 30, 40 years of working, there's no crime.
You know, one of the things that, where I was used to work, I've seen 2 drug busts on IH-10 on the highway.
Really?
So I got my binoculars because I wanted to see what was going on, right? First of all, I was noticing the direction that these cars were coming from.
Yes, ma'am.
And they were going east. Then I noticed a product that was being, they had to shut down half a high 10 going east to collect stuff. The dog was going crazy out there and everything. But I counted on one bus about 20 packages of cocaine.
Wow.
Or something.
Yes, ma'am.
It looked white. And then about a year or so later, I saw another bus on I-10 coming in from a certain direction, heading east.
Yes.
So that's telling me that it's going into a community.
Right.
And it was a large amount going into a particular community. I never see a drug bus going from east going west.
Right.
I always saw it from west to east.
East. Yes, ma'am.
So what I pick up what you're saying is that, let me ask you if you're saying, is it a function of law not going to be as tough on the east side and then on the west side, or is it a function? I want to go back to demand. Is there a larger demand in the black community than in West on 10?
Well, I think it's kind of piggybacking on what he was saying, that, and this has been the same thing has been said about Chicago. Somebody is moving this product into the community.
But there has to be...
The only reason why there's a so-called demand is because there are people who have been placed over there who have been allowed to distribute this product even more so. But where is it coming from? And that was the whole thing that I was observing, with my binoculars, is the direction in which this was happening. Because if I I never did see a drug bust that size coming from east to west.
Well, I go back to my original question. Is it a function of the police not monitoring the black community, or is there a larger demand on the east side than the west side? I mean, what is it?
I think what we're seeing more so is a way of disabling a community. Because there's ways. Why does it go north? Why does it go south? So the drugs, there may be a demand, I'm not saying, but I think it's a means of disabling, disarming a community to where, it's the community becomes stupefied, if you will, to everything else. So if you keep this community disabled, then they're disabled and you can do whatever you want to do over there.
Okay, I want to keep playing the devil's advocate.
Yes, sir.
I'm not saying this is my position.
Yes, sir.
But
what is your position?
Well, I asked the question. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Why are we allowing them to disable our communities? Where's the protection of our communities? Where's the protection of our kids? Where is that so they can't get access to these? Why don't we have people out there saying as soon as whoever it is bringing the drugs in, we're not there to get them and get them out?
Well, I think when you have an organized community, Brother Fred, there's no crime. In an organized community, it normally moves. We're not organized.
You're right.
That's what the problem is.
So it starts right there.
It starts right there. If we organize or unify a community, then we stop everything. Our money doesn't leave our community in the first 6 hours of when we get paid. It circulates 24 days, just like the Jewish community, money circulates 24 days in their community, 21 days in the Chinese community, and even in the Hispanic community. Their money circulate on average of 17 days. Our money leave, if you got direct deposit, it's gone in minutes. But if you have to wait till Friday, it's gone within 4 hours.
Well, why have we allowed this to happen to our people and to our community, and especially to our kids? Where does the fault lie? Does it lie in the men that failed the community? Where does it lie?
If you think about it, because this has been a grave concern, even with my own child, but I think he's seen the light now.
Yes, sir.
A lot of our kids, if you go into the school system, aren't being educated on the actual history of Black America. There's some control as to what type of history is being taught in the school, and we have a lot of parents, Black parents, who are either ignorant of the history or don't want to talk about the history of Black Americans. So this is where you have a lot of Black kids, especially young Black males, who get caught off guard when they get in these situations with the police and everything else. We've got kids in schools who are trying to defend themselves in a community where their history is not understood. So a lot of it is us. A lot of it is us. For integration. To be integrated, we might have sacrificed that portion of who we are for the grass appear to be greener on the other side.
Well, then, tying it all together, then.
Yes, sir.
Is it the white punk nationalists out there who's a real danger to us, or is it our own community?
I think at this rate of the game, it's both. Because we're ignorant to the fact And then you got the white nationalists. I read a statement that Lyndon Baines Johnson said that you can go into and get the poorest of poor whites to make him see that he's better than any Negro at any level.
Absolutely.
So when you have that type of mindset, that's a dangerous thing. And that's why most of us, that when we look back consciously, we can never grasp why would anybody go and kill unarmed kids, men, women, grandmother, grandfather.
We can't really.
We can't grasp that.
No.
You know, I saw something in the New York Times. I don't know if you've seen this article yet. It says America wasn't a democracy until Black Americans made it one.
Yes.
And the article is a powerful article. And can you imagine the discussions that can happen in a classroom, the debate, and you start proving why this is happening, why this is happening. You know, this is the whole thing about reparations, why, you know, the argument is that we have done a lot to bring this country into where it is. But for our kids to understand that it was Black Americans who helped bring forth democracy, because we got the Constitution, but in reality, we haven't been living up to the Constitution. So Black folks had to come into play to try to make that Constitution true.
And that's what King did.
Yes.
That's what Dr. King did.
Yes.
Yeah. But I really want, we want to go after the white nationalists like we should. They're a bunch of punks, okay? And they've always been that way.
Right.
But I'll be honest with you all, my good friends, I'm getting more concerned about what we're doing to ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Man, it made me feel sick when I read that article about St. Louis.
Yes, sir. And I think we should have that same attitude. Irregardless if a white supremacist come out and kill, or a white policeman come and kill an unarmed Black man, we should be just as angry.
Absolutely.
As those who are killing our kids in our own community. And that's why I say once again, when you have an organized community, that would never happen.
Right.
Because we would run him down or her down and bring him to justice.
Yes, yeah.
You follow me?
Right.
But at the rate we are, man, we will go hide and know Pookie did it, but we won't tell on Pookie.
Yeah. And let's turn to you all for a minute.
Yes, sir.
The nation.
Yes, sir.
It seems to me that, correct me if I'm wrong, but the nation and the members don't seem to have the same problems that we as a larger Black community have. And why is that? What is it? Is it because of the way you are organized? Or what is it?
Well, I think it's two things. Number one, I think we love ourselves enough to love you.
And where did you learn that?
And I learned that from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Most Honorable Louis Farrakhan. That's in our teaching.
And that's what we're not learning in our schools.
Yes, and that's what we're not learning anywhere else.
Yeah.
So when we take that and go out in our community, I would never sit up here and make you believe that if we came into a dope-infested community, we come in the first time very peaceful to let you know we coming back. Now, that second time when we come back, it might be some bumping and grinding because that's what we do. But we don't carry no weapons, no guns, no penknife. But we're going to try to be reasonable with you and organize the community. And that's what happens when we organize a community. The crime element has to move.
And you try to get to the mind first,
Yes,
don't
sir.
you?
Yes,
And that's
sir.
so important.
Yes, sir.
To teach Black kids to love and
themselves first.
Because I'm going to tell you, something wrong when a Black can take a gun, I don't care if it's an accident,
Yes,
and
sir.
shoot into where there's some Black kids.
Oh, yes, sir.
And what race of people kill their young?
No.
Well, you know, we've got an issue, you know, even if you look at the beauty industry. So you've got these hair supply stores that are run by the Asians. Women are being cussed out, beaten up, and everything else. So why go back to the store?
Right.
But some Black women will go back to the store. I gotta get my hair. I gotta get this. I gotta get that. You know, why not try to stand behind a Black person who is trying to start a business? Because I have seen to where a brother on my side of town was trying to open up a hair care store, but because his costs were about maybe 20 cents more or $1 more.
And Blacks wouldn't support it.
Wouldn't support it, said it was cheaper over here, but you know, you got to think about the logic now.
Yes.
You're going to drive clear across town
Yes.
to go buy a wig when the same wig is over here and you're saving gas.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is a great conversation.
Yes, sir.
So we'll start with you,
Yes,
Brother
sir.
Greg. Give us something good.
Well, I think that we as a people got to come together, Brother Fred. And I think we got to start with us first to let us know that we love ourselves and then we love my brother and sister. And I think that would take us to the mountaintop, as they say. And as soon as that can be done widespread, the better we will be.
And I have to, from what I know,
yes, sir.
You all do it well.
Yes,
you
sir.
all do it well. Because I always tell people, preachers preach, love your neighbor as you love yourself. How you gonna love your neighbor if you don't love yourself? So you got to learn to love yourself first.
Yes,
and I think you guys do a great job at that.
Thank you.
Okay. Sharon, you want to give us some hope, if you can?
It all comes down to where there's a great need for us to understand who we are so that we can really show the world our excellence even more so.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank you all for joining me, a discussion with the writer Fred, to carry on a conversation that's very, very important.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like all our viewers to know that it's rough. We had a rough situation, but we are a positive people. And keep in mind that our ancestors made it up that rough side of the mountain.
Yes, sir.
And it was rougher for them than it is for us.
Yes,
so
sir.
we can win this battle if we do like Brother Greg is saying and Sister Sharon is saying, and think of positive things in order to improve our community. In the meantime, I'm going to say I'll see you next time, because we're still telling our story our way right here on Discussions with the Writer Fred.